Hello plant community, thanks for tuning into this channel. My name is Pam and today's topic, you guys, we're going to talk about is variegation. Now if you're a plant enthusiast such as myself, we're all looking after those beautiful leaves with splashes of creamy color to add that boost of color in our sea of green. So I thought it'd be exciting today to cover a little bit about variegation. So we're going to talk about what variegation is. We're going to discuss or go over certain types of variegation along with showing you guys examples. So let's just dive right in. So for those of you who may not know exactly what variegation is, it is the appearance of different color tones on your plant leaves and stems that can appear as stripes, spots, as well as other shapes. Now plants can become variegated through genetic mutation, viruses, as well as chemical exposure. Now I have a fun fact, you guys. The word variegation comes from the Latin term variegatus, which means made of multiple colors. So we're going to talk about three types of variegation. The variegation number one that I want to discuss is called chimera variegation, whereas coloring on the leaves that is basically caused by genetic mutation, where certain parts of the leaves are coated to produce chlorophyll and the other part of the leaf is not. And I wanted to show you guys a couple of examples that I actually have here, starting with, actually I'm going to start with this one because this is the tallest. This is my Epiprimnum pinnatum variegata, or variegated. Let me see if the camera is picking up the color. I hope it is. But as you can see it's very subtle, beautiful yet creamy colors that's going throughout the plant, but the majority of it is green, where it's able to do a lot of photosynthesis. I hope the camera, are y'all able to see that? This beautiful creamy color. I'm going to show you another plant that has an example of this chimeral variegation, and it is this beautiful Monstera stanleyana variegata. You guys, if you see, this is one of my favorite plants that I love so much. Okay, you see this right here. This is what we're all after as far as plant enthusiasts, but it's very beautiful and I just love that creamy pattern. But this is what we would call a chimeral variegation. Majority of the leaf is pretty much green, where it has subtle spots of creaminess, or it could be where it is still half moon, where it's half green and half creamy variegation. Now you want to keep in mind, as far as these mutated plants, you guys, the mutated leaves, they're not stable, as stable as a genetic variegated plant. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that whole thing in regards to the stability of it, or show you guys an example of what I mean. Basically, us as plant parents, in order for these unstable plants to, some of them, sometimes I think I want to honestly say is a little bit more difficult than other plants to maintain the variegation on it. But one plant that I wanted to show you, as far as what I mean, is plant parents, we have to provide the plants with certain amount of light in order to maintain that beautiful variegation, and that would be this beautiful, the Snow Queen pothos. Now, as you can see, you guys, it is very heavily variegated, but I've had this plant for about a year, and one of the things that I have noticed, you guys, is that even though you do see that creaminess, some of that white color, cream color, has kind of like diminished a little bit, and you see some of the green still coming through. So I want to show you, if y'all are able to see, well, this actually is a good example. See this leaf right here? This is one of the new leaves. When I first brought this plant, you guys, all the leaves basically looked like this. But because I'm not giving it enough light, you know, plants will go into survival mode, and they need to be able to photosynthesize. So they need that chlorophyll in the leaves in order to do that. So if we're not providing them with enough light to go ahead and promote photosynthesis, then they will try to revert in order to maintain their health and to stability, more or less, or to keep growing and all of that. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys, I've noticed that, and I don't think I really can give this plant any more light than what I'm already giving it, because honestly it hangs actually on the wall here in my sunroom, and it's getting all types of lights from every direction, but even though it is still way creamier than our green counterparts, I have noticed that some of the leaves, all of the leaves, is kind of like not as white as it was, but it's okay because it's still a beautiful plant. But I wanted to share with you guys and show y'all how we as plant parents would have to actually work a little bit harder to maintain the stability of variegation on these particular type of plants. Now we're going to jump into number 2, which would be our more pattern gene variegation, and these would be actually natural variegated leaves on a plant where no matter whether we provide the plant with a lot of color or not, that they're still going to maintain that particular variegation. And I want to show you guys some examples of that. So one example is actually going to be, I have this, what are you? Here I go again, Maranta Macoyana. This is a very beautiful plant. Me personally, I call it like an X-ray plant because when the light hits it, it is completely see-through as far as the leaf. Now you really can't see it. The camera's not going to pick up on it, but this is a very beautiful plant no matter whether or not if I give it a lot of light or medium light or even low light. The variegation and the pattern, gene pattern on this plant is always going to stay the same. So it's still going to give us the little pop of color that we want in our sea of green, and we really don't have to work as hard or as diligently as one would have to if we were trying to maintain the coloration on a mutated plant. Another example, outside of the Maranta varieties, well, of course we cannot do this video without making a mention of our beautiful Chinese evergreens. This one right here, you guys, which is one of my favorite plants, is the Golden Madonna. And you guys, honestly, look at that beautiful cream pattern on there. You know, if you're not able to afford that half of your body part to buy a plant just because of variegation, you know, it's always best to go with probably a Chinese evergreen where you can actually still get beautiful variegation that you don't even have to work that hard to maintain, which is always a plus. And it's also friendly on the wallet, but I really love it because the beautiful contrast. You see that creaminess with the white as well as the green. But once again, this plant sits in my dining room, you guys, underneath a planter. So it's not even getting any light on top. It's mainly getting light just on the sides, and it's actually sitting on a floor. So it's getting light from a window that's probably like a north-facing window, and it's also several feet away. So it's getting very little like bright light, but yet the variegation on this leaves are stable. They're not going to change. They're not going to revert. This is just the gene pattern of these plants. So yeah, I don't know. So you let me know, which ones do y'all prefer? Would you prefer the gene pattern ones or our beautiful mutated ones that we are sorting after? Now, the last one that I'm going to talk about, you guys, is number 3, reflective variegation. Now, there are typically, I believe, and I hope I'm correct, but there are at least, I want to say at least, or typically 7 layers to a leaf. And in order for this type of reflective variegation to occur, or to be considered reflective, is basically an air pocket is formed on the layer of the leaves, where the lower level layer of the leaves contain chlorophyll and the upper layer does not. So when light hits it, it gives it a sparkling, a shimmery look, and that's where the name reflective comes from. Now, I don't have very many varieties of it, but I'm going to show you 2 that I have. But before I show you these 2, another example of reflective, for those of you who may have this variety in your house. I used to have it, but I believe it was declining so badly and I didn't want to kill it, and I wound up giving it away to a friend. But it's actually the watermelon peperomia, the beautiful striking in those green leaves. When light does hit it, it does give off a shimmery look. Another example would also be an aluminum plant, which I actually do have one. I'm gonna try to take a picture of it and show it to y'all so y'all can see what it looks like, because I have it actually in my terrarium though, my small terrarium, and I don't think I would be able to show it off to y'all where you could actually really see a good angle of it on camera, but I'll put a picture somewhere around here. That's another example where the light is shining on those silver parts of that leaf, and it is shining and shimmering and everything. Another two examples that I actually have to show you guys. Both of these are Scindapsus, and I guess the Scindapsus variety as a whole, for the most part, probably would I guess classify as that. This one is actually my Silvery Ann. And for some reason, you guys, which is crazy with this Silvery Ann, it doesn't have, that's how you can tell that it's a Silvery Ann, because it's silver around the tips. But it doesn't look very silvery with these little leaves. But once again, it's not in a best lighting situation in my home, and I'm okay with that. But I wanted to show y'all this, how that when the right type of sun hits it, it is very shimmery. And another word that they also describe this particular variegation outside of reflective variegation would also be considered like a blister type, because of the lower leaf not having any pattern, but it does have up on the top, kind of almost like as if someone was to be, I want to say like a burnt layer, or if you're burnt and you have a blister because it raised whatever it was to the surface. And that's kind of like what happened here. I hope I'm going over it in my head as I'm telling you guys, that I'm not quite sure if that's the proper analogy, but I think y'all probably understand what I'm saying as regards to the speckles of that's actually on the leaf. Another example as well is another Scindapsus, and this is my Scindapsus Silver Splash, I believe. And another beautiful plant, you guys. But you see all the beautiful splashes of silver, or whatever the case is, on the front, but there's absolutely nothing going on the back. And when light is hitting this plant, you guys, it is very gorgeous and shiny, and it does sparkle, and it does sometimes can reflect the actual sparkle of light. So yeah, so there you have it. This was just a pretty quick overview. I'm curious to know from you guys though out there in the plant world, outside of the three, from the genetic mutation to the gene pattern and reflective variegation, which ones are your favorite, and or which ones that you have more of in your plant collection? I honestly, for me, because I can honestly say I do know that the mutated plants I probably have not as much of, because sometimes with those plants as well, they can come with a price I guess attached to it, but I love them all equally. Also to comment and let me know, outside of the three different types, which ones could be your favorite. Now I know, of course, you know, we go after the what is it called, the variegated monstera types and things like that. That's usually our favorite, or at least our wish list plants. I'm not sure, but for me, if I had to go with my favorite, honestly, you guys, that's really hard for me to pick. But if I really did have to make a choice, I'm thinking about the totality of everything when I give you you guys this answer, and I would have to go with the gene pattern one. Gene pattern, because it's a beautiful plant nonetheless. It's checking off all the boxes. 1 is easy care. 2 is still stunningly beautiful. 3, I don't have to work hard to maintain the variegation. So yeah, these would be, I guess, my favorites as far as variegation. Especially is extremely important for those 3 reasons with that particular plant, because I have so many. So to have a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing plant that I don't have to work so hard for is always going to be a plus when you have 150 plus plants. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up this video, you guys. Keep in mind, if you love foliage as much as I do and you love listening to planty things, definitely subscribe to this channel. Push those thumbs up, you guys. I appreciate your support. Share and like as well. And enjoy your day wherever you are in the world, you guys. And until next time, much love. Bye.